Welcome to the Operation Bohica podcast. My name is Kevin, and I have been a New York Jets fan since 1982. And today I'm going to give my honest thoughts on yesterday's loss at Tampa Bay, where the Jets unfortunately lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-27 on a field goal with no time left. For full disclosure, I was doing some other things, and so I did miss the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter. But from what I did see from that point in the second quarter on, basically we talk about the same old Jets, and that's basically what we saw. The same old Jets. Michael Clemens getting that personal foul, which was kind of dicey, but with his reputation. When you have a reputation like Michael Clemens's, those calls are going to go against you. The offensive line, quite frankly, was offensive. Brees Hall, what, 9 rushes for 21 yards? Another disappointing outing by the offensive line, considering how impressive they had been in week one against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they really got after it. These last 2 weeks, missed blocking assignments. Uh, Tyrod Taylor, getting smashed all over the place. He did what he could. So in that first half, nothing was really going. The defense, uh, they didn't play great, but they were keeping them in the game in the first half. Of course, Tampa Bay wasn't, they were helping out the Jets with all those penalties, but the straw that broke the camel's back was that pick six by Tyrod Taylor, and it was 20-6 at halftime, and it was looking bleak. Again, the defense not great. Having said that, to their credit, they did hold Tampa Bay to only 6 points in the second half. However, the New York Jets offense, it was basically 3 yards in a cloud of dust, as they say. And it took until the fourth quarter for the offense to kind of somewhat get going. And then, the defense, like I said, they were they were bad, but I wouldn't say they were horrible. But we'll get to them being horrible when it mattered most. With that being said, later in the fourth quarter, Tyrod Taylor takes the Jets down the field, touchdown to Garrett Wilson. So it's 23-13, and then I believe it became 23-20. Tampa Bay then gets a field goal, 20-26, and then late in the game, after the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter, Tampa Bay is going to go for what looks like a chip shot field goal to make it 29-20 and basically seal the deal. And Will McDonald, who I did criticize in my video last week in the Buffalo Bills game, he didn't do anything last week. He came up with probably, and he's right, the biggest play of his career, blocks the field goal. And not only does he block that field goal attempt, he picks up at midfield, runs into the end zone for a touchdown, giving the Jets a 27-26 lead. I was at Twin Peaks, loving it, loving it. There was a Buccaneers fan in front of me wearing the old orange, the creamsicle uniform, the orange one. Uh, I was loving it, man. I was loving it. But then I saw the clock, a minute 49 left. Then I look at the defense and I'm like, okay, I sat back down and I went back to factory settings. And sure enough, Tampa Bay drives down the field. They get a field goal at the end of the game. And the Jets fall to 0-3. The Jets probably, if the defense could get the job done, realistically speaking, the Jets could realistically be 2-1 right now. But with them being 0-3, I think maybe in the long run, it's better that they start off 0-3 so that us as fans, we can see, we can really see the cesspool that this Jets organization is in right now. And, some fans already want Aaron Glenn fired, which I don't think will happen. I don't think should happen. Let's keep it. Let's go back to last season. The Jets fired Robert Sala after 5 games. How did that work out? I honestly think if Robert Sala if they had kept them throughout the rest of the 2024 season, I think they would have been better than what they ended up being. Would they have probably made the playoffs? Probably not, but I think they would have played better under Robert Sala than with Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich was way in over his head. So how did that work out? So now you want to fire Aaron Glenn 3 games into his tenure? Okay, you're going to fire, listen to what I'm saying. You're going to fire one of the greatest Jet players of all time just because he's off to a rough start. Look at Dan Campbell. Yes, and I'm going to bring that up. Dan Campbell started off what, 0-10-1, something like that, and now look at where he's got the Detroit Lions. So, let's be a little more patient with Aaron Glenn. Let I know it's New York and what have you, but let's pump the brakes there as far as firing him 3 games into his tenure. Yes, he ran down the sidelines. He did a little dance. We criticize him for that, but then Robert Sala was unemotional. So, what do you want? Do you want the emotional coach or do you want the unemotional coach? Do you want the coach that's getting in players' faces when they're doing something dumb? Or do you want Robert Sala who lets them kind of do whatever they want? I mean, we got to figure it out here as fans. Of course, I understand from the fans' point of view, 15 years without a playoff berth. It looks like it's going to be another year, but I was kind of hopeful that somehow they'd pull off maybe 10-7, maybe sneak into that last playoff spot. It ain't looking good right now, but we got Miami next Monday night who are 0-3. You've got the Dallas Cowboys the week after that who are, they're barely 1-2. They probably should be 0-3 as well. So we'll see. Also, and look, I don't want to make excuses for the Jets losing. I already kind of covered what happened during the game, but I do want to factor one thing into the Jets loss yesterday because there is a Jets fan that I was chatting with earlier today, and he mentioned something that I didn't really talk about, and because he actually went to Tampa, he went to the game. It was about 90 degrees in Tampa, and you take the humidity into the consideration. He told me that he damn near died from the heat yesterday. And he's sitting in the stands. So you can imagine the Jets wearing the dark green jerseys out there, just like the teams like Tampa Bay and Miami. They've always had problems in December going up to Buffalo, going up to New York, going up to Chicago, going up to Philadelphia, going up to the north with these cold weather teams and cold weather stadiums. Well, kind of the opposite effect happens when you have teams like Chicago coming down and playing in Miami in September, or the Jets are going to play Miami next week. I hope it's not like 90 degrees on a Monday night. So you do have to take that into consideration. The cold weather teams in September, when they go down to Jacksonville, when they go down to Tampa, when they go down to Miami, let's be honest, they don't have much success, and of course, these Florida teams, they're going to wear the white uniforms as well because they know it's like 90 something degrees and 2,000% humidity. So it's the opposite effect when you go to Florida and play in September and probably the early part of October in that heat. I'm not excusing that. That's why the Jets lost, but you do have to take that into consideration. And that might have been a reason why the Jets just couldn't really get going because of that insufferable Florida heat. So uh, kudos, uh, kudos to Steve for telling me about how hot it was yesterday in Tampa. And like I said, he was in the crowd. So imagine having to have that helmet on and all that gear, and you're playing in that weather, and you're not, if you're not from Florida, you're not used to it, or the players in the NFL from Florida, they're kind of maybe not so used to it anymore. And again, the same thing happens to those teams, those Florida teams. You take them up to Soldier Field, or you take them up to MetLife, or the the stadium in Buffalo, or anything like that. Why do you think Miami doesn't play well in December, or the Buccaneers don't play well in December? So you do have to take that into consideration. Having said that, right now the Jets are 0-3, and you are what your record says you are. In a perfect world, they would probably be 2-1. But now, with this upcoming game against Miami, do or die, the season would really, really be over if they were to go 0-4. But let's hope that they can turn it around. But Aaron Glenn has that cesspool of losing that the Jets have been swimming in for 15 years. It might be a lot deeper than what we think it is. So those are my honest thoughts on the Jets Buccaneers game. This has been the Operation Bohica podcast, and